Greetings, fellow beings, and welcome to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast where the hosts are hot. Well, some of us are almost on fire. But the topics are cool. Anyway, this is episode 51, recorded July 12th, 2021. I'm your host, Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanis. I think down below me is Colton Roper, also known as Seeker4761. The amount of fires just in our general area.
So hot.
Yep. Next to me, Charlie Stiffler, also known as Mjolnir. Next to him, Cody Stratman, also known as Psychonitrous. And then below him, catty corner to me through Seeker, is our guest Tim, coming back from Thailand. Nice to have you back.
Hello,
I want
Tim.
you to know, Brandon, that the configuration of 4 or 5 is different based on how wide your Discord screen is, which is not the width that Cody has.
No, he's
It's gonna
actually
be
accurate.
all over the place. Really?
He's
He's actually
accurate,
accurate?
where Colton pointed was not.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how
Excellent.
he did that.
So
but
are we on the 2, 2, and 1,
So
or
must be
are
over
we
here
on the
then.
3 and 2?
3 and 2.
3 and 2.
Oh, I got.
Yeah, that's what I have is 3 and 2. I'm having him in this direction.
All right,
But
now I'm wide enough. Now I'm in the correct orientation. Sorry. Continue.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're back on a normal episode today. 4 of us have topics, but, well, it's kind of a normal episode.
yeah, he
Is
might
that-
have a
what's
topic,
normal?
like,
Where is
as
that?
we're
Normal
talking.
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, normal.
I'll just be your active listener.
We'd love to be listened to.
Color commentary. Yes, we do.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please.
If you feel like it, I mean.
Get it,
no
get
pressure.
us on
But we will find you if you don't. That's called stealing.
Pocket Cast, Spotify. Subscribe. Leave ratings. Please help us. Alright. Well, anyway, yeah. Cody is going to be telling us about his facing certain death, maybe. That's not good. Do you have unfortunate news to share with us, Cody? Are you
Ooh.
breaking it to us over the podcast so we don't cry? Please don't.
We'll be strong for you.
So the crying can be recorded.
know.
More like it.
It's a cleansing cry. It's a grown man tears.
Well, that's okay, because Colton's going to tell us that the new living, breathing Earth has the term living, breathing Earth has new meaning.
True.
And hopefully
Interesting.
it's not flatlining.
Or having anything to do with the rhythm behind you that
Yeah.
is god
Are
awful
you
and
are you telling me
inaccurate.
the background I have is not an accurate representation
Nope.
of the human
So-
heartbeat?
So, quick lesson. The first little divot is called a P wave. You're not supposed to have another little divot before the big spike, which is your QRS, and then
The
your
super
T
P
wave
wave.
is not. Your T wave is after that. It's not supposed to be sharp. If it's uncomfortable to sit on, that's hyperkalemia. That's a bad thing. And then the thing after the T wave is a U wave, which most people don't have or see, and it definitely should not be sharp. So that's all sorts of fucked up. And I'm not even going to talk about the part that's on the other side of you where it's mirrored.
Yeah.
It's an alien
That's-
heartbeat. That's all.
That is
Just
a perfect
wrong.
heartbeat. Shut up.
No.
I might need to go to the hospital
That's-
then. Jesus. But
Or
for an
Earth.
unrelated
Yeah.
thing, of course. So I'm just saying. But what is unrelated is how Charlie's going to talk to us about how he cannot be appropriately calmed down because dumb people.
So
Snaps.
many dumb people.
And some of those dumb people might hold political office. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew we might elect dumb people? Who knew?
Never.
I'm not going to get political so much, but it's going to be a little political, but very micro, not macro. All right, abs. Maybe putting the squeeze on third-party app stores. Mr. Predictable in his topic selection. Brandon?
Abs. Abs. Not arms.
Yeah.
Abs.
Yeah, but...
I don't
Yeah,
think any
it's
of us have abs, boys. I mean, they're in there.
Oh,
sure.
No.
Oh, no, I have abs.
They're in
just,
there.
They're hibernating.
They're
Yep.
they
They're,
are just
they're sleeping
insulating.
comfortably.
I don't
They're
have a
sleeping
six-pack, I have a
comfortably.
keg.
I miss being young.
Right?
And even though I'm the youngest one here. Tim, we all know you got a six-pack in there. Don't worry about it.
It's hidden.
You have a six-pack because you've had to sweat the rest of it out. Alright.
Shit.
Cody.
Well, Cody, tell us your unfortunate news. I will try and remain strong, but no guarantees that I won't cry like a baby.
So, I gotta start this topic by just talking about something that happened this morning, and why if we were gonna do this at the normal time, would have been late for the podcast. So I got these yesterday, and they are no
I
longer.
call that a feature.
Those appear to be melted together now.
They're not melted together. They're
Magnetized
magnets.
together.
Yeah.
Ah.
But those look terrible.
Yeah, those were really nice for like the day that I had them.
But the good news is, to interrupt Cody, the good news is they weren't in his ears when that happened.
But they could have been.
God damn it.
They could have been, but I'm not good. Yeah, definitely not gonna go there. So, and this is just an example of why having a remote key fob for a motorcycle is a terrible idea. Seems like a good idea, or you shouldn't be an idiot with that key fob, and put it in your shorts pocket, and then drive to where you're gonna go walk, because you're gonna go have a swim in the ocean after walking. Yeah, it might fall out of your pocket while you're driving, and then it's lost. So anyway, I'm going to talk about my experience in driving in Thailand, which has the...
Yeah, you're gonna die. You're gonna die.
It's
gonna die.
Yeah.
What is it? The #1 most road accidents in the world? It was #2 for a while, with Liberia being #1.
Thailand's
Easy.
#1.
I have
Thailand's
one
#1.
question for you. Do you wear a helmet?
Of course. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I bought a fancy,
Well, at least
very
his head will be
expensive
okay.
helmet in the U.S. before I came here, and it took up a lot of luggage space.
Good.
Because
Good.
apparently helmets here,
dangerously.
as Tim can attest to, are round-shaped and not farang head-shaped.
Oval, semi-oval.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But circles
if
are
you're-
strong shapes.
Hey, did you know that helmets take up less luggage space than coffins?
Well,
But
it'd be weird
not
if I
as
bought
not
me
as
a
little as
coffin.
urns.
Yeah. It's a Buddhist country.
Yeah, severe brain injury is no fun either.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Dark turn, boys.
Okay, let's get it back.
Dark
Let's change this.
turn. Truth. Hard truths. Wear your helmet, children.
So it seems
Also, you should be
like
listening to this adult podcast.
in Thailand, there's a few differences in driving. Speed limits seem to be mostly suggestions at points. Lanes sometimes are. What I will say is more people use blinkers here than they use in the West.
That's because
surprisingly.
there are fewer BMWs.
That's
I will say
true.
the worst-
Leaving them on
the
is
worst
not
drivers
using
here.
them.
The worst drivers here drive pickups, and they drive Mercedes and BMWs.
Okay,
They're the
so
worst
it's the
drivers.
same thing.
Yeah.
Or that Lamborghini that passed us in the tunnel.
Third world problems, right, Cody?
Yeah, yeah. Until you see the bathrooms here, then it's either third world or it's like ultra first world.
This is not
So-
third world.
Truly
though.
is a
I'd say
throne
it's
room.
Second, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. And my cellular plan that has 90 megabytes of, or 90 megabit download while I'm on the beach can attest to that. Versus my AT&T. Oh, by the way, I pay $9 a month for it. Versus AT&T, where I pay $70 a month, and I've got 4 gigs of data. So, you decide
Yep.
what's more.
You had a limited plan
And
on
your
AT&T.
internet connections.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, four
Fuck that.
gigs per month. Yeah, versus 80 gigs of full speed data, and then if I don't want that, I can go unlimited at the low of 10 megabits.
See, I just pay
So-
Walmart $40 a month and have unlimited with terrible, worst customer service I've ever dealt with my entire life. But I pay it's cheap. I
Absolutely.
get what I pay for, so
True, I pay $9 a month. And
you still beat me. And yeah,
Customer service speaks what language?
no, they speak.
Actually-
It's English.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're
Yeah,
talking
you
them.
speak
No,
English.
no one cares about
I'm
Colton.
talking about his.
Screw that guy.
You mean
Yeah.
the
Or
other
his.
side?
You speak
Yeah,
English. The app is in English.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very friendly.
Yep.
So, anyway, driving on the roads is definitely a little bit different. But one thing I have to say is, like, normally people give you a decent amount of space when you're on the bike. It's not. There's less of, like, the insurance scam thing. Now, I will say that speeds and merging with traffic is weirder here, because you'll have people that are driving, like, the other people on motorcycles that are, or some cars that are driving like 20 miles an hour below the speed limit. Then you'll have people driving like normal, which is like 10 miles an hour above the speed limit, and then you'll have people that are driving like double to triple the speed limit. So it gets really odd. And Tim, you are welcome to correct me at any point during this, but this is just my experiences. So you get all of this, then your like lane splitting is common and expected. So, and as well as passing on the other side. And just for reference, the other side is
left.
Yeah, we're on the left-hand side of the road here, which driving on the left actually wasn't as much like mind screwy as I thought it was going to be, but natural reactions to things is. So if I'm on a 2-lane road and there's a car on the left, like parked, so I have to go on the right, which is the opposite side to avoid that car, and then there's an oncoming motorcycle, my mind, I want to immediately divert more to the right. And so does he. Yeah.
The oncoming traffic.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is the reason why left-handed people die younger than right-handed people, is because their brains are programmed to react the opposite way of a right-handed person. Which
We live in a right-handed
coincidentally,
world.
If everyone's dodging each other to the right,
Yeah, it's fine.
still in line, and that still means you're gonna go head-on with the person.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder about the accident statistics here. I mean, if you're here long enough, you'll see a lot of people driving really stupid. But I almost wonder if you just drive a little more conservative, more defensive, and you don't accidentally get hit by one of those stupid people. The people are more motorcycle aware here than they are in North America.
I would agree
So-
with that. They are more likely to see you from what I've seen in people reacting to me, and I've tried to just be like crazy aware. Anytime there's like so here when you're going along the highway, there's certain places where you do U-turns, and they're built into the highway because you'll be going like 1 or 2 kilometers and there may not be a U-turn, so there will be coming up. And anytime there's one of those or a cross with a division of the highway, I'm always ultra suspicious of somebody's gonna blast through.
Yeah.
But the average person, like I said before, will give you much more space than what I've seen people give in the US. So like what you're saying, I think that it's safer in that respect, and there's less, and this may be false, and this is kind of where I want you to correct me, Tim, but it seems like there's less of the attitude of I'm going to hit you because I will be legally in the right, but I'll get insurance money attitude here versus in the US, like if you are pulling through an intersection where you have some time, but if the person speeds up, then you won't necessarily. They might try to hit you. That's happened.
It
They
comes
might
very
try
much
to
here
hit you?
down to right away. Most people understand right away. Some people don't understand right away. So you just got to drive to avoid. I mean, you can't assume somebody always will give you that right away.
Are you familiar with Newton's right of way?
Mass
It's
yield.
not-
Yield to higher tonnage.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
not
Like
who's
I
right.
said to,
It's
like
not
I said
who's
to
right.
people-
It's who's left.
drivers back home when I had conversations. I said, yeah, you might have had right away, but you could be in the hospital dead right, or you can, let it go.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's not who's right, it's who's left.
Yeah.
And if you're dead, you're not left.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's these trucks that I really don't like here. The big trucks that are driving around that I'm not a fan of. They're still smaller than like the trailer tractors in the West, but I think they're the equivalent of what they have here. They're like the dump trucks that the ties trick out. They'll usually have.
And they're more likely to be on Yaba.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that they could be on Yaba barbiturates,
which is meth,
What's,
basically.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Means crazy medicine.
Not saying everybody, but there's a chance.
Yeah, there is.
And
chance.
sometimes you will see it.
Like Yaba plus Red Bull, like just because of like some of the working hours that they're expected to do. So it's just like there's certain people, like certain situations you just want to avoid. But otherwise, I've taken to it a little bit faster than what I expected. Just that weird tendency to want to, like if I'm on that 2-lane road, want to correct immediately to the right. Like that's the biggest thing. And then when I sit in a car, I constantly want to sit in the driver's side seat when I'm a passenger. Like that still gets me every time. Yeah.
I always wonder why you sit. Why are you standing outside my door? Are you going to open it for me?
That's so sweet.
I remember having that same thing when I went to England. I was 13, and I remember, getting ready to go into town with my Aunt Sarah, and she's like, okay, hop in, and so I start barreling out, and she's like, you don't have your license. Get on the other side, you twit. It's like,
It's weird when
and then it felt so weird being on what here in the States and most other countries is the driver's side, and there's not the steering wheel or any.
And you want to try to control the car. Yeah,
I told Cody that you're probably going to try to emergency brake or something if you see something in front. Because you're sitting in that seat, you're probably going to reach for the pedals.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's weird is when I went to Thailand, I didn't notice that at all. I guess I wasn't in a car a whole lot, but I didn't really feel
in the back
weird.
Of the taxi more often than
That's
the front.
true. Fair enough.
And you don't get that same feeling in the back, even though the driver is, in front of you on a different side. It's not that same visceral feeling of being in control in the front, or
seeing the pillars, seeing the hood, seeing the road there.
It definitely messes with you.
I was just gonna attest it to how I'm a terrible, probably easily the worst driver out of the 5 of us here. So it's like, I
don't know. I survived you in Arizona.
Barely.
I
noticed every time you got out of the damn car, you kissed the ground. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna just go ahead and remind Brandon that I have been in an ambulance that was on 2 wheels because of him.
Hey, I got us around.
You're still alive.
Not a
called
problem.
efficient.
Yeah.
Just
Less
NASCAR Just NASCAR in that brand new rig.
Ever since then, every time someone says that they're on their way to a call, I always say rubber side down. Because of you.
It's alright. I still remember Colton about flipping the bucket van.
Which time?
At Internet Colorado.
What?
There's more than once? I was only in the front seat once.
What do you mean?
It only happened once.
Wait, what?
Oh my god.
I am not privy
I don't
to
even
this
remember
story.
where we were going. I just remember, I had gotten Subway, and you were like, yep, we need to go over here and do this. And I'm like, alright, well, I'm going to eat quick. And I was eating quick, and I just remember, the tires squealing, and we're going around a corner, and it's like, this is not okay. And you're like, wow, the suspension on this is just terrible, and it's like it shouldn't be on the road. Why are you doing 60?
Fine.
See, there's crazy drivers in the U.S. too.
Because we had to get somewhere. We lived. Shut up. Quit whining.
That's all those conversations of those people that are doing double the speed limit here. That's what they're saying too.
Pray to all the relevant gods. You'll be fine.
Here's a Bible cram for the final.
Exactly.
So I will say, like, kind of leave on this weird and somewhat depressing note. Like, so, you know, I led with the statistic that Thailand has one of, like, the worst or second worst out of all road accidents in the world. However, when you look at helmet usage, so actually I'll first give and this is not a study that I have done, but this is just what I've seen out of my eyes. Mask usage here is about 99.75%. Helmet usage is about 5%. So
and then the helmets that most Thai people use that you buy in the sort of like the Walmart type store, they do not even have they aren't proper protection.
It's like wearing a hard hat.
A plastic shell with there's hardly anything in it. There's no standard to it.
Jeez.
So
an interesting cultural difference.
They aren't wearing a good helmet.
Actually.
So you're telling me that there's a certain level of bureaucracy that's required to ensure that products that are sold for safety meet certain standards?
Plus enforcement as well.
That's probably
you can get a good helmet for your Thai head here.
Yeah, you can, but it's also when you think about.
Let's not make it about race.
The issue involved in this, though.
I'm making it about head structure. Yeah,
when you think about the average income, when you think about the average income of a Thai person, though, a proper helmet is extremely expensive because they could go buy a used motorcycle, and then the helmet will probably cost them more than the motorcycle if it was a proper helmet.
It's kind of just a complete theory here, but it's probably sort of going back to that mask thing compared to helmet usage. It's probably part of a cultural difference of the importance of the individual versus the importance of the group.
That's a very
based
good
on
point.
The culture. I mean, Asian cultures tend to say more. They tend to be more about the good of the country of everyone around you, versus
it's
in
face
West
as well. Yeah. You don't want to be the one who stands out too much.
Yeah, an example of that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And the example of that in riding is you have to ride here with a mask on, with your helmet on.
Wow.
Really?
I like Brandon's face.
You know, I was against that.
Okay, are we talking full face?
You come to a stop at a red light, and all the bikes go to the front of the cars. Okay, so
right,
you've got 5 or 6, 7 bikes, and you're within a meter of each other.
That is a good point.
You know?
Okay, but if you have on a full-faced helmet, are you still required to wear a mask underneath?
Yeah.
To be fair, I think enforcing that type of rule is kind of silly, but if you don't give people any leeway, they just won't try to push the rules. Which
it's not. I won't even say that as a legal rule. It's not clear that's a legal rule, but it's sort of
it's
a social
expected.
rule.
It's
expected. You're being a dink if you don't.
You'll be shamed.
Yeah. And
shame.
I don't
you
know.
prick.
Like the first few times, it was annoying, but now it's just regular. It's not that big of a deal.
Just a quick sidebar. I've only very recently started walking into places without a mask on, and it only recently started feeling okay again. Just you get used to anything.
I will say we have been mask free at work for about a month and a half now, and I still, if I'm on a conference call and have my office door closed, I will still reach for the handle, start pulling it open, and have that little oh shit heart sink moment, and go to close my door to then find a mask, and then it's wait, we're not doing.
It would be nice. It would be nice if people get into the habit like they do, especially in Japan, here as well, especially when they use mass transit. If you feel like you got a cold coming on, people put a mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of the
but that's
good of the group versus
not
good
to
of the
give
individual.
it to everybody else. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that might catch up on the U.S., but masking was such a political issue in the U.S. that I don't think it will. It was.
Yeah.
All right, Colton, save us.
Yep.
Save us.
Well, I mean, all right.
But not with that rhythm.
Good rhythm. It looks
No.
pretty. Look, it's nice and even-ish, except for the middle, but that's why I'm
No,
blogging it.
no, clear.
Multiple P waves, it's fine. Super P waves. I hear you want to have more of those. I don't know. The internet said so. Anyways, so today I decided I wanted to listen to the Earth, and specifically its heartbeats. Hence my apparently awful rendition of a heartbeat behind me. Because medical people. Anyways, I'm going to specifically talk about 2 of these Earth heartbeats, and in quotes, of course. One is electromagnetic in nature, and the other is geologic in nature. So let's do a quick, super quick TWIL style review of the electromagnetic spectrum. You have your high-end frequencies, your X-rays, your gamma rays, which are around 10 to the power of 18 to 24 hertz, which is a giant-ass number that humans can't even conceive of. And you have your low end, which is like your radio waves.
It's like that many zeros. Right.
It's 10 with 24 zeros after it. We don't.
Yeah,
I don't even know the damn number. What that actually is.
That's pretty close to 24 zeros. Yeah.
Yeah, just a big ass number. Doesn't even conceptually mean anything to the mere human mind. The low end, you have radio waves, which are around 10 to the third power, about 1,000 hertz, which we can sort of conceptualize. So if you tune a sensor to around 7.83 hertz, you can actually detect what are known as Schumann resonances. These are extremely weak frequencies that are caused by lightning strikes anywhere in the world, where lightning strike will actually ionize particles in the ionosphere, and basically these can be detected anywhere in the world. And these have been colloquially known as Earth's heartbeat, or its hum, if you will. So anywhere on Earth, there's around 50 lightning strikes a second. So if you're tuning for these particular frequencies, you're just constantly hearing just a hum in the background. So kind of interesting. I didn't know about this, but literally anywhere in the world you can detect these, because anywhere in the world there's lightning strikes. Not really a huge
I know what I'm doing
deal.
later tonight.
You're gonna
I
be
know the weather office at the airport usually has when I was in the military, had lightning detectors.
Yeah.
And it would also tell them which direction it was in. So it must have been an array of antennas. But I don't know how.
Yep.
Do you have any idea how they're using it for range? Was it just strict signal strength, or?
I think it's just signal strength. I mean, these are
Triangulation with 3
incredibly
of 'em.
weak waves. So we're talking a sensor that you have to be looking for them to actually find them. You're not just going to see them. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So not really a huge deal. Some scientists on the pseudo side would argue that these well, I don't know if it's pseudoscience, but there's some studies that say that it affects brain waves, or at least they kind of meld with human brain waves, and that's kind of where thought comes from, and weird pseudoscience like that. Some say it can affect, like, if there's a huge amount of these waves going on at a certain time, it can affect, again, thought, in positive, negative waves, just messes with our electrical circuits in our own brain. But there's no real consensus on that. Just kind of an interesting little thing. But on the geologic time scale, and this was actually been, I don't want to say proven, but they're seeing a correlation recently. On the geologic heartbeat, there's actually been theorized for about 100 years or so. So around the 1920s, 1930s, when geology started to think about geologic time in terms of millions of years, not thousands of years. Basically, geologists started noticing that every 25 to 30 million years or so, the Earth seemed to go through a cluster of major geologic events. And let me find the thing. We're gonna do this. So, can't really see, but basically this is a scale of about from about 260 million years ago, and this is a catalog of 89 specific geologic events. And you can kind of see, can't really see the scale very well, but at the bottom, if you just kind of estimate, roughly every peak is about 25 to 30 million years. So, again, this is only seen as a correlation. It was actually sort of seen about 2018 or so. So this isn't just some random stuff. They're actually starting to think that there is a true geologic heartbeat of geologic events for the Earth. So, kind of interesting. Let's see here. And by geologic events, I'm talking major things. So we're talking tectonic shifts, worldwide increases in volcanic activity, sudden ocean level change. We're talking major things here. Like,
so not a, even a 9.4 magnitude earthquake somewhere.
No, we're talking like the entire world is shaking for a little bit. Kind of cataclysmic events. Yeah, and again, these are no well-known studied events that they put on a graph, and they're like, oh, there's a correlation between these events and time at this point. So it's kind of interesting. Scientists have no fucking clue why, though. They've only recently noticed it, but one theory is that like comets will tend to obviously kind of a pretty consistent consistent time scale in terms of when they happen on a geologic time scale. So maybe there's every 30 million years or so, there's just more comet activity, which could theoretically mess with, and we're talking comets that actually hit the Earth and weird things like that. They're also saying it could be that mystical planet X that scientists have, astronomers specifically, have sort of theorized, a massive 10th planet out way back in the solar system that can affect.
Hey, thank you for calling it the 10th planet, because Pluto is a planet. All right, continue.
Yeah, you're right. It for me, it'll always be a planet in my heart. It's not about the size. It's how you use it, I suppose. So that's kind of what I was learning about this week. Just kind of random Earth heartbeats and
so.
Random
Are you
correlations.
Theorizing that every 25 million years that the 10th planet comes within enough proximity of Earth that it fucks with our tectonic?
To be fair, I am not theorizing anything because I don't know shit about this. This is TWIL. But people who are much smarter and much more trained are, again, they haven't even found this planet. So, again, there could be some weird... I have no clue. And again, they don't know what's causing it. They've only recently discovered that there is, in fact, a correlation. This isn't some random causation thing that does not cause correlation. Like, the proof's in the stats. Like, it's there. So now they're just trying to figure out why it happens. And just to ease everybody's mind, the last pulse, I guess you can call it, was about 7 million years ago. So we're fine. At least everyone on this podcast will probably be long a memory when the next pulse happens. So that's good. It's good for everyone alive today and for
I don't
20
know.
million years in the future.
Charlie may still be running around on a server somewhere.
It's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I did say I'd download myself if I could. Just out of curiosity, did you know that I sold my net worth into buying pasta? It was worth every penny.
Yeah. I
knew.
knew.
I was hoping he'd forget about it. Damn it. But, Charlie, speaking of dumb people.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm angry. I'm really angry. Inappropriately angry, and you're going to hear about it. So
is this Festivus already?
No, this is not that.
He's already turning red. He's actually angry.
Yeah, well, I did slap myself. You may have heard
true.
that.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out.
So recently, a piece of legislature in the state of Colorado has removed the ability to provide a medication during a very specific and very lethal condition. That condition is called excited delirium. And I'm about to go in depth about what excited delirium is. So excited delirium, and excuse me while I change my background so you can see,
It's real.
it's very much real, and it's very much a problem. It is any one of these 10 things, but you typically have to have a couple of them. This particular graph that I found on the internet, which always should be believed, says 6 are required for diagnosis, but I have seen far fewer be medically required to intervene. So, inappropriate clothing for whatever the weather conditions are. So, naked, partially clothed, attraction to glass, destruction of glass, mirrors, lights, vehicles. That's more anecdotal than I think, like, pristinely excited delirium. Failure to respond to police presence. They're oblivious to everybody, but, police specifically, yes. Constant, near constant physical activity, yes. They are pacing, they are raging, they are hitting, screaming, not tiring despite heavy exertion, yes, absolutely. Unexpected, unusual strength, yes, absolutely. Unaffected by pain, I have seen it myself. Very rapid breathing, absolutely. Excessive heat, hot to touch, oh yeah, and then excessive sweating. So, excited delirium is a syndrome caused typically by stimulant use in a very select portion of the population. And this portion of the population has a malformed dopamine 2 receptor. So, the adventurous types that might drive dump trucks in Thailand have this malformed dopamine 2 receptor, and when they imbibe in a stimulant that activates that dopamine 2, they basically enter into this feedback loop that just doesn't stop. They have incomprehensible speech, they are superhumanly strong, and they are trying to kill everything in sight. The stimulants of choice in the United States are typically in the family of cocaine, methamphetamine, and PCP. Those drugs in themselves add to some of this very discrete, specific symptoms like unusual strength. PCP is classic for that, angel dust. Why this is a life threat. This condition is life-threatening in and of itself. This is not life-threatening because someone's going to shoot them or run them over with a truck or all of the things that do happen to people experiencing excited delirium, but it's because their body is running a marathon. And when you overcome the metabolic ability of your body, you switch from aerobic metabolism to anaerobic metabolism. And aerobic metabolism, you take an oxygen, you take a carbohydrate, and you create approximately 20 to 30 ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, by the way. You're welcome.
Fourth grade science.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So they turn that oxygen and carbohydrate into 20 to 30 ATP. And they also produce carbon dioxide as a byproduct and some other waste products. When you switch to anaerobic metabolism, you burn a fat or a protein anaerobically, meaning without oxygen, and you produce 2 to 3 ATP, twice as much carbon dioxide, and an acid chain, either lactic or ketotic acid. So you're burning much more fuel to obtain the same amount of energy, and you are creating way more waste product in the body. So their body metabolically is unstable. In fact, their acid levels are skyrocketing, which means their pH is crashing. Your body lives in this tiny, narrow, homeostatic window of 7.4. Any variation of 0.4 is lethal. No big deal, right? So they're having this massive acid dump. They are burning, actually destroying muscle tissue because their body is so warm from physical activity. So the muscle tissue, the myoglobin, is being released into the bloodstream, and it's clogging your kidneys, causing rhabdomyolysis. All of this stuff is happening, and the only medications that a paramedic has to stop this fall into one of three categories. I have the antipsychotic, which are typically Haldol or droperidol, which are good drugs, but they are slow acting, and they do not fix this problem. They fix organic psych problems, closed head injuries if they're violent, and alcohol if they're violent. They work fantastically on the frontal cortex. They don't do like dopamine 2 receptors. They're serotonin blockers. They don't work on dopamine. The other drug category is benzodiazepines, so your Valiums, your Verseds, your Ativans, which are fantastic drugs. They sedate and they quell muscle activity, but they also quell breathing, and I'll come into that in a minute. And then your last category of drugs, and I'll go real highbrow medicine, even though I've already gone there already. They're NMDA receptor antagonists or glutamate receptor antagonists, which are your ketamines. So ketamine, which is a chemical cousin to PCP, is a dissociative. When you give someone a therapeutic dose of dopamine, you are putting them in what's colloquially called the K-hole. Okay? The K-hole is great because it does not remove their breathing. It just makes their brain and their body completely disconnect. So as far as their brain's concerned, they're still doing whatever they're doing. But their body's like, I'm going to lay right here. Thanks. It's fantastic. It is wonderful. Haldol and Apsine, droperidol, too slow, and they don't really fix the problem. Valium, Versed, Ativan, they take out breathing. Ketamine does exactly what we want it to do. Here's where my problem is. About a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago at this point, I believe it's been a year and a half actually, Aurora Fire and Aurora Police Department administered ketamine to a gentleman who was autistic that was called in as a suspicious party, and he was talking in complete sentences. He was resisting, but talking in complete sentences. The unexpected, unusual strength was not present. He was affected by pain. He was not excessively sweating. He did not have the very rapid breathing. He did react to police presence. He was not destroying property. And he was wearing a hoodie. So pretty much counteracting everything on the list. This gentleman is autistic, saying, I'm autistic, stop, I haven't done anything wrong, stop. And within 10 seconds of the police contact, police put hands on him without probable cause. He was not suspected of a crime or suspected of attempting to commit a crime in their near future or reasonable future. When the firefighters and paramedics arrived on scene, the cop directed him by name to give him ketamine. Flag on the play. Cops don't decide medications, and they also don't transport patients who have received those medications. The fire officer, being, well, a fire officer, said, yeah, sure, we'll do that, and orders the paramedic on the ambulance, a contractor for the city, to draw up and give twice the weight-based dose of ketamine. This gentleman is by the name of Elijah McLean, and he died. He died several hours later as a result of a heart attack and per the coroner's report, this was due to the chokehold that he was in the moments and minutes leading up to the paramedics arriving on scene. So ketamine was administered. It was inappropriately administered and inappropriately dosed, but it was not a contributing factor to his demise. However, it shined a gigantic spotlight on a very poor clinical department, and frankly, there have been a few problems with ketamine in the near past, more recent than Elijah McClain, and there are some drug dosing problems. There has yet to be a coroner confirmed death by paramedic administration of ketamine. There are patients who receive ketamine who die, but it is because they receive ketamine well after all of this is happening and well after their body has reached that lethal pH. And unfortunately for them, they're going to die anyways. It is not a causation of ketamine. It is a commonality. So in this past week and a half, the medical director group that I belong to decided, for the betterment of the medical direction group, that they were going to pull the waiver on this medication first and said no more ketamine for excited delirium. And then minutes later, the state of Colorado passed a House bill saying, "Thou shalt not give ketamine for excited delirium in the pre-hospital setting." Period.
Are the sorry to interrupt? Are the other drugs still allowed?
They're absolutely allowed.
The ones
now,
that
if
are
you get there 10 hours early, then you can administer them.
Exactly. So switching.
It always bothers me when they react like that instead of what the problem actually is poor training.
So exactly, the problem is poor training. And I know you were a cop. I was a cop. We have training on excited delirium, and we're shown all the same training video of the guy that is on PCP in the middle of the road. And what do officers do? In order to overcome him, they dogpile. And when they dogpile, they restrict his ability to breathe, much like the drug class that I am now tasked to use to control this person, which is benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines restrict breathing. Dogpiling restricts breathing. Your body's fastest compensatory mechanism for acidosis, a change in pH, is breathing. If I knock out breathing, your body suddenly stops compensating and your acid levels skyrocket even more and your pH drops even less. And
so what? You have to give people base now or something? You have to give them a glass of milk each time?
I do not have the ability, based on the protocols, to give sodium bicarbonate to someone that is in excited delirium. More importantly, if I have been successful in sedating them, I may still not have an IV because they are hulking, and starting an IV requires some level of cooperation on the party. So sodium bicarbonate has to be given in an IV. And I can fix their acidosis, but we are strongly discouraged from even opening that particular brown box, because if I make you basic, if I make you a basic bitch, your body can't compensate. If you're acidotic, your body has built-in mechanisms, urination, defecation, breathing, and the actual acid-base system. It has a way to mitigate that. It has 20 times more compensatory mechanisms for acid than it does base. So if I overdose you on sodium bicarb, then you're dead again.
So
it's
something I'm
risky.
confused about, and why can anyone besides trained paramedics administer this ketamine?
No one other than trained paramedics, doctors, and nurses can give ketamine, but the law enforcement officer identifying incorrectly, thinking that they're identifying a combative individual that might be experiencing excited delirium, knows that the antidote for that is ketamine. And so he was like, okay, this guy needs ketamine. And so the paramedics on scene, this is hyperbolic on my point at for my part at this point, is that he obviously knows what he's talking about. This guy needs ketamine, and they did not go through the checklist themselves. So
basically, a non-medical person
decision. A non-medical person put the idea in their head, and they went along with it. I will say that paramedic on the fire engine is to blame. Period.
I can tell you our protocol.
Because absolutely, it is their medical license, is their certification and their doctor's medical license on the line, and they screwed up. They screwed up bad.
I'm curious what Tim's protocol is.
Yeah, what was used to be. Did you guys have ketamine when you were a cop?
I don't know what the actual drug is they use. I'm sure maybe I was told at the time, but our protocol was this. The call comes into the comm center, and either a street supervisor or any officer on the street can say, oh, this is starting to sound like this might be excited delirium. And we use the same sort of criteria, and it can become, like you say, quite obvious. Usually almost always their clothes are off.
Yep.
Even if it's minus 20 degrees, they're taking their clothes off. And so then we will get a number of officers there, and we have certain paramedics that are always on call to come to the scene. And we don't try, if we can contain them. Sometimes things are impossible. You know, if somebody's waving a baseball bat or a big machete or something like that, then there's other issues involved. I mean, the use of a taser is not exactly a very good thing for them either.
Yeah, because these people will overcome
so our
tasers.
Protocol is that you have a number, maybe 5, maybe 6, if you can, and we'll do the swarm. And the swarm is not to bring to the ground and sit on them. It's to get as many officers as you can and get them cuffed, and then get them into the ambulance right away, where the people who can administer the drugs can decide whether to administer drugs. We have never ever seen anybody tell a paramedic what to do, and we have no interest in it.
Yeah.
You know, you do whatever you do, because when that person may die anyways, like you say, there's no guarantee. That we have multiple levels of inquiries, and the media is always trying to hang us out, saying that it's our fault. And then you get some doctors who don't believe in excited delirium, which doesn't help either. But yeah, that's our protocol on it. And I don't know exactly what drugs they use, but I could probably find that out for you.
So the thing that really hung us out to dry in Colorado is that a bunch of anesthesiologists were the ones that the state legislature asked to talk about these drugs instead of emergency physicians. And anesthesiologists use ketamine for one thing: to sedate for intubation. They're using a different dose. They're in a calm, cool, collected environment where their patient signed a consent form. Yeah, that's nice. I want to have an anesthesiologist with me every single time I have a combative patient from now on. Say, all right, you do it. Figure it out. Good luck. And
get that consent form first too.
Right. And yep. Don't be wrong about the weight. Oh wait, that nurse that intook the patient took the accurate weight for you. Oh, that's nice. I'm a fucking carny. I have to guess my weight. And while guessing a weight is somewhat of an acquired skill, I can tell the difference between 120 pounds and 200 pounds. And that was the difference in dose for Elijah McClain. He got a 210-pound person's dose at 120 pounds. So,
but again, the point there is that the ketamine was not the cause of death.
It was not the cause of death. Did it help? No.
No.
But it didn't cause his death.
Yep.
All right. I have taken... That was the biggest rant you're going to get from me this year. I promise.
A Charlie rant.
A Charlie
rant.
There's
still a lot of year left.
They're rare.
Who would have thought it would have been medical?
Like my first one, that was kind of ranty, and that was very medically. But, like, Brandon just Stop
AAbs.
with the fucking body puns. But tell us about abs.
Anti-lock
Okay.
braking, huh?
AAbs. Well, AAB.
Awesome.
AAb.
Anti-lock braking.
Ops.
Yeah. One of the hotly awaited features for Windows 11, for me personally at least, is the ability to run Android apps directly from the Microsoft Store, thanks to Amazon's third-party Android app marketplace. While there are many in the tech community who ask, why do I even want that feature? I believe that it's a feature that will find its place within the market regardless of the initial draw. I'm not here to discuss its merits, though. I'll hold off there until I've actually gotten to play with that feature. What I'm here to talk about is ARMS! Or wait, AAbs. So, AAbs, or Android App Bundles, is the new packaging for Android applications. According to Google, the change in publishing format will allow developers to make existing applications smaller, allow for on-demand delivery of features, trials, without having to download anything, and allow for more efficient releases. Well, all of this is a good thing. Third-party stores aren't yet compatible with these newly published packages. There are conspiracy theories out there that Google is doing this to make Microsoft's adoption of Android apps on Windows pointless. To those people propagating that, remove your tinfoil hat, do some quick searching. This new app wrapper has been available since 2018. The only change is that now Google is requiring new applications, again, only new applications submitted to the store starting this August, to be AAB instead of the current APK. Existing applications that have been published in APK can continue to be updated in that format. The requirement for AAB is only on new applications. Will this hurt third-party stores? Probably a little. Developers who actively seek to be on other marketplaces will more than likely compile their Android app in both AAB and APK, so this isn't going to hurt developers. It'll just tax some extra time. If developers switch existing applications to AAB, they may decide to not run an APK as well, which would hurt third-party stores. There's also a chance that third-party stores will figure out how to allow AAB applications within their own stores, which would be beneficial both to them and developers. Personally, I think it's going to be a race to see which third-party app store will get it working first. As basically whatever app store is able to crack that code is probably going to get some pretty good recognition. But honestly, for now, it's nothing too much to worry about. It would be nice if Amazon and Microsoft can figure it out quickly so that new AAB-wrapped Android applications could work with their devices. But right now, it's a wait and see. I wanted to talk about that because I've heard 3 other podcasts that I listen to point at this as a conspiracy to ruin third-party stores, to not allow Android apps to run on Windows, but they keep missing the fact that it's only a requirement for new applications.
For now.
So, do you think this will have a better adoption? I mean, I guess it has to have a better adoption rate than UWP style apps? Or am I misunderstanding the difference there?
So
they're not really the same thing, but
yeah, they're not the same thing. UWP only works with Windows devices and Windows Core OS. So I started getting into UWP because you could theoretically program, this was back when Windows Phone was around, you could theoretically program an application using one set of code and compile it in UWP and have it work on HoloLens, have it work on Windows Phone, have it work on Xbox, have it work on PC. I think really Android apps being APK or AAB isn't really going to change much from a user standpoint. It'll change things for developers, and because most developers want to be on the Play Store, there's going to be some pretty quick adoption of this. Because
but so I'm wondering, like, since obviously only new apps need to be in that particular, style AAB, do you think like some of the big ones that are already there are going to just compile in AAB anyways? Like, I don't know, Twitter.
Yep.
Do you think they're just going to just do it just because it's going to be the future anyways?
And what do they consider?
There's already companies that have compiled AAB. So Netflix, Hulu, Dropbox. I was looking at and of course links in the show notes, but down below in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And there's some pretty significant space saving on those apps. So if I remember right, I want to say that there was one app, I think it was Netflix, is like 60% smaller. The initial install is 60% smaller because it doesn't have to include some of the tools and stuff in an APK.
Are they going to require that certain updates to existing apps like Facebook, like, their current build can be fine in APK, but if it gets updated, it's going to have to be ABB or AAB?
Not currently.
And then at what point are they going to say we're not going to support APK anymore? Because obviously, why would they? There's a reason they're picking AAB over APK. So if you're thinking long term, I mean, they're obviously not just going to do it overnight. But at what point are they going to, I guess, shelve legacy apps at that point? I don't know. Just I could understand.
I would have a hard time believing that they would do it in the next 2 to 3 years. I think it's going to be further out than that for full on, like, if it isn't AAB, it's not in the Play Store. Just because there are so many legacy apps that people use that don't necessarily receive developer updates anymore.
I was gonna say that would kill their competition with the Apple Store their version of the App Store. So because it would kill a whole bunch of useful apps out there. I don't know. I could understand the conspiracy theory, just like all the other conspiracy theories that are revolving around this launch that hasn't even happened yet. So it's kind of gotta love the tech industry, the tech news in particular. They gotta have the hot take of what's going on, even though there's really nothing to it yet because it hasn't come out. It's not coming out in fact, for most people, it's not even coming out until 2022. So who cares at this point? But whatever.
And I will say I have it now on 2 devices, Windows 11. I have on my primary laptop and my Surface Go. I love it. It's honestly Windows 10 with a little extra. The start menu's clean, the design is clean, and the funny thing is I showed it to my parents, who anyone who's met them knows that they are not the most technically adept people. I love them dearly, but I am definitely their tech support for a reason. And my mom looked at it and was playing with it on my tablet and was like, "This is easier than Windows 10," because she has a Surface Pro 2 that I bought for her, and runs Windows 10 on it, and she actually prefers Windows 11.
Now, okay, so this is one of those things where when I hear easier, it instantly makes me like
cringe.
Oh no, they took something away that 1% of users like.
No, it's not a 1%. They think it's a 1%, but it's actually higher than that. And
it's
I know
more like 15 to 20%.
Yeah, 4.5%
for power users.
Yeah, no, it's 15 to 20%. That's what I'm worried about is like Windows 10 with their menus. I remember when certain things, like just ease of use stuff, like when Windows key X or the right-click start menu would take you to the actual useful control panel rather than the Windows 10 control panel, which in most cases isn't actually useful.
So I have noticed so far in Windows 11, I go to the control panel even less than I have been in 10.
Okay,
the
I'm
control
fine
panel
with that.
does still exist.
Okay.
You can still get to the original control panel, but a lot of the settings that I used to have to dig for in control panel are now just inside of the new settings app and actually laid out in a sensical order.
Okay, so they've actually made it more functional
operating system,
rather than like, oh, you know, most of the old people that aren't going to have, you know, more than one Bluetooth device or more than one audio output device won't ever require this. And then you get to a point where you're not able to actually switch devices, or you're not able to boost microphone, or you're not able... Sorry, I'm one-track mind with audio.
Say, I mean, they...
But it gets to that
even
point.
Wi-Fi settings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were working on...
It drove me crazy when they changed to Windows 10. When you wanted to go with Wi-Fi settings, change your DNS or whatever.
Yep.
That drove me crazy. It used to be so much easier.
Yeah, now you have to go through like double the amount of menus in Windows 10 to get
to
it.
But again,
and
this is the Charlie's point, even if it's 25% of people do that, 75% of people do not and don't care. And
so they should make it...
Here's the thing. Do you make it easier for the 75% of people to use their product? Or do you make it easier for 25% of people, which is still there? They don't take any of that away.
Well, like the meme with the little girl. Why not both?
But Cody, to be fair, it is both. It's just one extra setting for the smaller percentage. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm more on your side.
Though. It wasn't one extra setting. It was a lot of settings. The amount of time that I could use
by making it easier, they have removed the ability for average users to fuck up things more.
That's also fair.
Yeah.
Which theoretically might make it easier for the IT side to be like, oh, they're not going to fuck it up. So
no, because you can do other stuff from a server level. From
Cody, but this isn't the server level stuff. This is the it's hilarious. I mean, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I am 100% with you on the sense of more features are better. Just even if no one ever uses it, but they have to support it as well. And if you're talking, and I can't believe I'm defending Microsoft, but if you're talking on an operating system, yeah, the anti-capitalist dude is the one that's like, but they're just a business trying to survive. But if you're talking Microsoft, or they're having to support an operating system on thousands of different devices, it becomes exponentially more difficult to support features because you have to support them across thousands of different configurations of hardware. That's time, it's money that goes into that versus creating a better operating system. And
but at what
I
point
think that's
is
what they're
better?
trying. But the
better
thing is
very subjective now.
But again, Cody, they're trying to streamline the entire process. And again, they're trying to appeal to the mass market, which I mean isn't necessarily the best thing. But if you're,
would you rather
you have to.
But again,
sweatpants or a fitted suit.
Sweatpants.
Both.
And both. Why not? Why for certain situations?
I want sweatpants that look like a fitted suit.
See, why not both?
You want both.
Yes. But I mean, most of this argument is kind of moot at this point because Windows 11 has done a really good job of pulling in more settings from the older interfaces into the unified settings interface. There are still reasons to go to the control panel, which is why they have not yet removed it. I think once we hit 100% parity between what you can do in the settings and what you can do in control panel, control panel will go away.
Yeah, and I would expect that, and I'm fine with that. I am also fine with Microsoft having the courage to say, no, now you need a 64-bit processor too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to be a major disruption for a lot of people. But you
can't.
can't.
Be a major disruption for the banking industry.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? They probably should have an update too, because they're dealing with that's software and code that's fucking 20, 30, 40 years old. That the world is a way different goddamn place than, and especially if you're talking banking, medical. I mean,
that's why they've got the old Unisys guy that still works there that they can never fire, because just code on top of code on top of code for like 40 years.
It's partly why my theory.
And they did it for job security.
In a perfect world, Microsoft
I know that.
should have to freaking build a new goddamn operating system and just support 2 operating systems for a while and having completely different, instead of dealing with, and again, that's why they're kind of doing it with Windows 11, getting rid of the 32-bit architecture support, which is great, but you can't move forward without just and again, going back to Cody's point, they still have all those features, all those things that you want and I want as a IT type person. It's all there. Yeah, it's an extra 4 clicks, but most people aren't going to ever need it. And I agree with Charlie's point. If you can't fuck it up, theoretically, you won't have to necessarily deal with it as much. So I don't know. Innovation sucks. Innovation
people still need IT support.
Yes, but but for most things,
they
won't
less
need
of
to.
it.
They need less.
They need less of it.
It's more streamlined. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to make it easier for everyone in the end to do it. And it's a transition period, just like the conversations we've had about electric cars. Like, yeah, it's going to suck for a little bit because the transitions always suck. But as Brandon said, once it gets to 100% parity, it's not going to be a fucking issue. But you have to get to that point. And if you just go 100% in the one direction, then you're going to have people that bitch about it anyways. Just like every other Facebook slight update that changes where the photos button is now over here. Everyone's like, this is the worst update ever, blah, blah, blah. It's not even out yet.
I'm still pissed they took away the poke button.
Yeah, that was like
you can no 90% longer poke your friends.
That was 90% of my Facebook usage back in the day.
I remember when we changed our record management system, people absolutely hated it, grumbled. It was almost like a revolt. But now they absolutely love it.
Just people need to get used to it, just like every other fucking thing ever. Like,
as long as my issue is as long as it has the same functionality and I can access that functionality, then I'm okay.
And Microsoft understanding that they support most major businesses in the entire world, if they want to compete, they're going to support that type of shit. Like, they're not dumb. Yeah, they're dumb, but they're not dumb. At least when it comes to money, they're not dumb. They will, if enough people bitch about it, if people in power who can actually say, hey, not the Facebook lover do it, I don't know, some major banking corporation will say, hey, you know what? Microsoft's kind of being bad lately. Maybe we should think about moving toward Apple. Never going to happen.
My wife can hear us because now I'm being poked. I'm getting poked by her. A lot. Like all of the gifts.
Just a transition period. It'll all be fine. It'll all be fine.
I also wanted to speak to something related, unrelated to.
Well, and I mean, one of the great things talking about compatibility is that anything that is currently running on Windows 10 will transition to Windows 11 supposedly without any issues, because the source code of the operating system itself is pretty similar to Windows 10.
You're not going to have the great exodus of printers and driver issues with those.
It's going to happen eventually. It's going to happen.
I had a scanner that disappeared. It was a great scanner, but couldn't use it anymore.
Yeah.
I will unified, simplified all.
I do want to say something that I saw a video on that you were talking about like 2 episodes ago when you started talking about Windows 11, and that's about the TPMs. That apparently that there's a lot of computers that just have the TPM disabled in BIOS if you make if you're building a custom computer. So just something to be aware of. I just saw a recent video about that. Just wanted to add that little nugget of potentially useful information. So if you bought a new motherboard in the last few years, and Windows 11 says that you can't use it, go look in your BIOS.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of
YouTube
thing. How-to videos that there's going to be a shitload of stuff out there. Support. There's probably going to be a way around it.
And another interesting thing is it looks like currently if you take and upgrade one of your devices, then make a bootable recovery drive from it, you can actually install that on bare metal, just like you do with Windows 10 or Windows 7, and it doesn't bug you about the TPM.
For now.
Or
it's the mess.
Your CPU, or your RAM, or your screen size. So likely, well, Microsoft is saying this is the minimum requirements. Likely, if you buy in
games supposedly have minimum requirements, you can always go around it if you have the technical know-how, and if you have the technical know-how, you don't care, or you'll just go to Linux. Yeah. Who cares? In the end,
is it more like if I put it on my laptop now, would I find my performance slowing down? Is it more resource?
It's similar. I ran benchmarks on my laptop and was within the margin of error.
And this is
I ran 5 tests and it was
a Windows 11 review.
My laptop's probably 4 years old now. So
yep, that's the age of my laptop. It's a 8th gen chip. So that's 3-4 years old right now. But yeah, performance is about the same. I wouldn't say it's fafaster, but
this is an
doesn't
early
slow down anything either.
Yeah.
Right now it's development preview. So if I would say unless you really want to test it, I'd say just leave it alone. Wait for it to at least enter beta. There's a couple of interesting glitches here and there that I've found, like resuming and all of my windows are blank. And so you have to minimize everything and then reopen them. And
God, Windows, you had one job. It's in your name. Can't even do the Windows right in Windows.
Yeah. Some of the touch gestures, if you have a touch screen, like dragging windows around, way better. Like night and day difference. But then occasionally you'll still run into like where you tap on one and it just isn't scrolling, isn't enlarging or shrinking or doing what you want it to do, and it's just it's annoying because most of the time it works so well. So when you get that one window that just isn't cooperating, you're just shaking the tablet being like, damn you. But
damn you, Gates. No. Even though he's not involved with him anymore. Anyways.
Yeah.
Take us home.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Tim, as you're the guest, where can we find you?
On YouTube at Our Thai Journey.
Great content. Everyone should really check it out.
That's about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's about it, other than the page, Facebook page, which is not updated very often. Our Thai Journey as well.
Okay.
And Fake Farang here on Discord.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Nice. All right, Colton, where can we find you?
The name is Colton Roper. I go by Seeker4761 in most of the, actually all things social, at least on that side.
And that's how many traffic accidents we've had here since we started recording the podcast.
I was going to say, that's how many freaking flash flood warnings I'm getting tonight. Jesus.
Oh, wow.
The air quality index of Gunnison right now.
So bad.
Awful.
But it's like I said, Seeker4761. I try to stream pretty consistently on Twitch, twitch.tv/Seeker4761. And like I said, Facebook, Instagram, all that, Seeker4761. How many more times can I say Seeker4761? Charlie, what about you?
I am Charlie Stiffler, also known as Milnor, spelled wrong so I always get it right. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, here every week. Running command for the All-Star game, which I've done 4 days so far. Tomorrow will be the fifth and final. It'll be
pretty
lots
cool,
of fun.
honestly.
It is. I've gotten to meet the mayor of Denver, the police chief of Denver, the fire chief of Denver, ATF, DEA, CBI, FBI,
all the acronyms.
DEA,
alphabet soup.
Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Denver Sheriff's Office, Denver Health. Yeah, all of the things. I am the only non-publicly hired person. I'm a member of a private organization. Everyone else is a Fed or a state employee. It's honestly weird.
I love when Charlie flexes. So good at it.
Yeah, it's weird. Cody, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube as Striving to Fail, and on Discord as Psychonitrous, I think. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Battle.net as Zito Valder.
I would like to say technically your dash equals DKHZN equals dash Psychonitrous.
Semantics.
Is there a space in there that you missed?
I breathed. That was the space. Brandon.
All right. I am Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanis. I have stopped streaming because the upload in my current place on Spectrum sucks so badly. I cannot stream reliably even at reduced compression.
I've just been busy.
So, I tried a few times and it's it will run really good for about 30 seconds and then it will start to just wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
Freaking.
So until I get fiber, I am not streaming. But you can find me on Instagram as bvader86. You can find me on the Tech Pirate, where I promise, start posting more things.
Do a damn review of Windows 11. What?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Are you?
I am. I actually have it half written right now because I do actually have performance metrics. So
benchmarks. Look at you, all professional.
Benchmarks, yeah. But yeah, and here every week. So yes. Anyway, thank you all for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at ThisTwil. If you'd like to contact us, you can send an email to twil@thetechpirate.net. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
5 or 10 episodes is a discussion episode, and then every. Oh, okay.
It's 10.
Guess it's.
It was going to be 5, but we didn't have enough. We need more topics. So people need to put
Yeah.
right
Got
shit
lots of topics. I don't know. Nobody else comes up with topics.
I came up with most of those topics, by the way. No one else writes in there.
Then why haven't we? Why when we come up, we're like, what are we doing? Nobody says anything, and I'm like, okay, well, let's do this, and then people go.
Because that's who we are, Cody.
We can't even find a game that we want to play. We'll bitch about every single thing. I don't have it.
We used to have a spreadsheet for that.
Oh, I don't like that game as much as this game. I like boats. What? Oh, sorry. I don't know who I'm talking about when I said that. I don't like airplanes. Airplanes bore me. I'm a boatman. I like ships.